Welcome, everybody, to DAT Poker Podcast, episode 128 for July 22nd, 2022. I'm your host, Dave Schwartz, alongside producer extraordinaire Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Hi. Nice to be on your show again.
Did we not get enough Kessler content the entire World
I feel like
Series?
we might want, he should probably be like the fourth host or something.
Maybe, yeah, he could do that. And Terrence Shannon, T, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm feeling like $1 million, or at least I'm feeling like not negative $1.1 million.
You saving money by staying home.
Let's get our needles out of the way early.
That's in reference to Daniel. How are you, sir?
Hey, gentlemen. So I'm going to lay down on my couch with pillows because I'm comfortable. And this is what I do for an entire week during the World Series of Poker hangover while I nurse my sexy hand. I took a picture of the of it last night, and it still looks really disgusting. So who knows how long it's going to take to heal.
Yeah,
that looks nasty. Is that like carpet burn, or is that actually somebody stepping on your hand?
No, that's from carpet burn and slide. Yeah. Every time I got up, I got pushed down, and then one time I hit the ropes as I was trying to run and flew, and it just like skid across that nasty, dirty ass carpet. I mean, it's not dirty carpet, but it's like dirty carpet because thousands of people trample it every day. So
right.
So we were going to save that for a bit later, but why don't we get into it? So last Saturday, shortly after the main event champion was crowned in Las Vegas, down at the MGM Grand of all places, so a fair distance away from Paris and Bally's, a man threw some rocks at the valet, at a glass wall near the valet at the MGM Grand, and people heard it. And because everybody's on edge from, of course, the tragedy from a couple of years ago and countless tragedies across the U.S. With gun violence, people mistook it for gunshots, and panic ensued. Right away, there was people running up and down the strip, and everybody trying to get out and hiding behind tables, and it just kind of went like a wave all the way up the strip and ended up in Bally's. And I wouldn't say it ended because it probably continued on, but in Bally's in Paris was no exception, and people were freaking out, turning tables over, hiding behind tables, running into the streets, running into hallways, trying to get away from what they thought was an active shooter. Daniel, you were playing at the time in a post-run tournament, and so without putting words in your mouth, why don't you sort of explain the situation from start to finish there?
It was actually a fun day. It was basically almost the end of the World Series. And, we was like, screw it, let's have some beers, everyone's kind of having a good time. And we're in like Paris section, we were in like purple, and the room wasn't full, right? Because it's waning down. It wasn't like, like how it is normally where it's completely full. But we're just sitting there, having fun. And then I look to my right over where Paris Black is. And, that would be near where the registration desk is. And I hear noise, faint yelling, and then people kind of running in a chaotic way, and then they start running towards us. So, I think first instinct, as everyone does, is you see people running, you figure there's something dangerous. Didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any shots. I didn't hear any call for gun or whatever. I just saw people running. So I started running, and I'll tell you what, ultimately, I learned a lot from this. I learned a lot about like how to handle it, because it's going to happen again. I live in America where you can get a gun in a candy store, right? It takes you 5 seconds. So it's going to happen again. So this time I'll be more prepared, because what I did was I saw the herd coming, and I just started running, but I didn't really look behind me to see that there was tons of people that were just going to trample me, right? So I fell, got knocked out, and as I'm getting up, right, instead of like getting my bearings and looking back, I started to like get up while I'm running. It doesn't work that well, especially when there's momentum of people pushing you down. So every time they pushed me, my hands hit the carpet, and then I tried to run over, like I said, one of the rope things, and I slid on that. And then we got to the back there, and then like I saw people hiding like in rooms and stuff, and I thought, man, that's a bad idea, right? If this guy's a shooter. And then luckily, one of the Poker News reporters, and I don't know his name unfortunately, but I mentioned him in the vlog, like he was actually pointing people to the exits. So we all exit, we exit the building, and clearly we all believed wholeheartedly that there was an active shooter. Now, I would try to explain this in the vlog, but like the fact that there wasn't is completely irrelevant to the experience and the feeling and the emotion, right? It we thought it was real. I thought I was done for because I fell to the ground 3 times. And I'm like, if the shooter's behind me, I'm an easy target right now. I just fell, right? So I was just I kind of like, I didn't have my vlog camera. I didn't have my, my phone or anything. I left it at the table. I wasn't like, ooh, let's document this moment. No, I'm like, let's fucking run.
I want to get in the head of these people who are like, well, there was no shooter. Like, what are you guys all running from? I'd like to meet the guy who's just sitting around being, you know what? I'd like some active confirmation that there actually is a guy running around mowing people down before I start running.
Oh, there was, man. What's his name? Leo Fernandez.
Oh, I saw the picture of Leo Fernandez.
Just like eating ice cream like this. And there was a couple other guys that just stayed at the table. And frankly, they're probably not all that wrong. Like, because I think like I've heard from other people that are experts on this, and they're like, before you start running, you don't even know where the fuck you're running. Like, you could literally be running into the fire. Like, you don't know exactly where it's coming from. So, get a sense, get your bearings. If you don't hear anything or see anything, some people, like, for example, there was a guy who had only one leg. Like, he had no choice but to kind of hide under the table. He wasn't able to run and stuff like that. But bottom line is, it's crazy that we live, I guess, in a society where something like this can even happen, where a guy threw a rock through a window. And then not only at Paris and Bally's, but people
2 miles away. Yeah.
People at Bellagio were hiding under tables, like 6 different casinos on the strip. The rumors got out because social media is a thing now that, that there were multiple shooters, like it was some sort of terrorist attack, right? And it's so funny because I remember now, before it happened, the running started happening, I was on my phone and I saw a tweet from Christian Harder about some sort of potential active shooter at MGM thing. But I was like, whatever, whatever, it got nothing to do with here. And then like I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but I saw the people running and I just went with it. But yeah, amazing that, so people will say it's like overreaction, but it's like a warranted one, right? Because we see, like, especially if you live in the US, like constantly what you see on the news, like every week is another school shooting, mass shooting, all these types of things. And it's sensationalized and it's in our frontal lobe, if you will. It's like it's constantly on our minds. So it's not shocking, I think, that people reacted the way they did, including myself.
Yeah, you mentioned the Poker News hero reporter. Your boy Eddie Sabat was one of the heroes of the day because Vanessa Cade was in a situation very much like you. She tripped and fell. Everybody stampeding, running over her. She couldn't get back up. And from what I understand and what she tweeted, your boy Eddie kind of stopped everybody from trampling her over, helped her get back to her feet. She started running. So I mean, you see, I think in a terrible situation like this, you see the bright side of a lot of character and people doing a stand-up thing.
Yeah, and another one too, Alex Foxen, right? So everybody was running out of Paris because Alex Foxen, who's a big, large man, is running into Paris. So he's running against the grain, and the reason for that is his wife Kristen Bicknell was in there, or Kristen Foxen now, and so like he was going there to like help her or protect her or just make sure she's okay. So we definitely saw. I definitely saw, like I said, with the Poker News reporter and other things like you mentioned, people like sort of uniting, if you will, in a moment like this. But I also want to say this. I think it's important too, like because people are like, well, the World Series did nothing wrong, like absolutely nothing. They actually did a good job because they had an EMT on site who bandaged my hand, took care of the people. They were quick to get the word out that there's no shooter. They got it out on social media. Like I don't think they deserve literally any blame at all. Like we don't want the World Series to get to a point. We just don't, where like people have to get metal detectors.
Looks like the airport. I mean, that's the nightmare scenarios that like what the airport experience now is walking into.
And I don't think people realize how connected Vegas is, right? Especially since the shooting. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like anywhere you walk in Vegas, there's somebody watching. There's cameras everywhere. They know what's going on. Like, they're on high alert for this sort of stuff because it's a very, very important for the, there's like the security here in Las Vegas is actually quite good. This sort of happened because social media really, and it just got out of hand. And like, again, I think in the future for anyone that was involved in it, they probably are like slightly better prepared for next time. But outside of that, from the World Series, I can't think of anything. Maybe you guys can't think of anything the World Series could have done differently, but I thought they handled it really well, frankly, all things considered.
Yeah, Daniel. So my thoughts there really are, a terrible experience because in the moment, there's people running you over. You're trying to get up. You're getting run over again. There's that primal fear that I'm sure, went through that most of us have probably never experienced because you don't know how close this person might be or whatever, and it's traumatic, right? Like you seem to handle it pretty well, but I think there's a lot of people that were like, you know what, I have a stack, fuck it, I'm going home, I'm done, I don't need to deal with this, I'm not going back, and maybe reevaluating what they're going to do going forward. It's really sort of a situation that probably a lot of people deal with differently, right?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I know that there was a couple people that just were not emotionally or mentally ready to come back the next day. Like they got trampled. I think it was a woman by the name of Cherish who mentioned that, she's not coming back and she's just going to leave her stack. And I would hope that, whoever wins or something. I think actually I heard what they did, which is whatever you can. I mean, there's two ways to look at this, but at her table when she was blinding off, everyone just sat there just to make sure she made the money.
That's awesome.
It was near the bubble, so people just sat there and they were like, "We're not playing until she gets the money," which is, it's kind of like shady once, but at the same time, it's like a nice gesture, to do that. But from the world's perspective, what they did was they basically just ended for the night. Like everyone came back in when we realized there was nothing going on, and people were like standing in the hallway, and then they let us all back in to rebag. I'd left by that point. I just told them where my seat was. I had people do it. And I was like, fuck this, I'm going home. But everyone else bagged up. And then we restarted in Valleys the next day at noon. We continued to make the best of it, because in the end, like, yes, it was a traumatic experience, but like nothing actually happened.
Right.
Like there was no actual threat. But again, so from the world's perspective, like, what would you do? Just like cancel all the tournaments because of a hoax? I don't know. Like, I think
I'm curious, how did they even reconstructed all that? Because every still picture that I saw, like there were tables overturned, chips everywhere. How did a lot of these tournaments even get reconstructed and restarted?
Well, I think you saw all the tables that were, right. Like they only took pictures of stuff that looked like,
okay.
So there was only like probably, I don't know, maybe 5 tables or something like that were like that. And, they have cameras and they do a pretty good job. This happened once at the World Series earlier where this is actually fucking hilarious, but this poor dealer, I feel so bad for him. He, the floor had said color up. You got to color up on break, dealers, right? So he took all the stacks in from all the players, and he colored up all the chips.
Oh no!
Yeah,
so they reconstructed scraps, right?
They had to reconstruct that to the best of their ability. Yeah, and I mean, like to be honest, I'm shocked because like we said, restart at noon, and we were off and running like 12:15. We made it work, and we had to find new tables. Everybody had to sort of like move on, and of course, while we're in there, the fire alarm goes off because that's what everybody needed to hear, in the moment. It was that loud beeping noise.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, my freaking phone. But yeah, listen, I mean, I don't know. Like I don't have like, but I do notice this, like subtle things. Like I heard a plane flying overhead. Sounded like it was, but because it was actually a plane for the baseball game that was happening between the Raiders and the Golden Knights. But I was napping on the couch and I hear this plane and it's only 8,000 feet above us right now. And it's like right over me. And my thought is nuclear missile or something. Right. So like you start to be a little more panicky maybe when stuff happens for a little while, but that'll subside, but maybe not for some people.
All right, moving on. Terrence, I know you guys did a great show previewing the World Series Poker Final Table, the main event. The main event did take place as discussed, and Espen Jorstad from Norway took it down and wins $10 million in the second biggest World Series of Poker main event of all time, 8,663 entries, coming close to the 2006 biggest main event of all time. Hopefully, maybe next year we can get there. It played out over a couple of days on Poker Go. They played one day until 6:30 in the morning, took a break, came back and played the final 3. But it was an insane marathon of poker to get down to 3. First off, I wanted to get your take on this, Terrence and Daniel, about that. Are they better off taking a break there instead of playing till 6:30 in the morning and breaking with 4, 5, 6, whatever's left at the time, or is it just let's put these guys through the ringers? Like, how late were they going? if it didn't happen at 6:30, were they going to 8:30? I'm just wondering if they did have the day off in between, but let's face it, 6:30 in the morning, you're not getting to bed till noon, and now your whole day's fucked up. I don't know. What did you guys think of that?
Well, I mentioned this, when we did that show, is that I thought, they have a day off. They should have used that day off. I mean, I know it's hard because they want to put everything on Poker Go and everything like that, but I thought it was absolutely nuts. They made everybody play until 6 a.m. It was wild. And like I said in that podcast, people are going to be all, poker is a game of endurance and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, okay, make them do 10, 20 push-ups after every hand. Like, that's not like making it a game of endurance doesn't just mean, you make it harder and harder. You can do a lot of things to make it harder. It doesn't make the game better or the product any better. I think, you should have, if you've got a day off, you should have the option to use it as a flex day. And they can tell probably from day one, like you said, 8,663 entries, I think surpassed everyone's expectation of what this World Series would look like. They should sort of know from the beginning. They should know as they're going into day 5, 6, 7, that it's going to run late, extend it an hour here, an hour there on the previous days, or just use a few days, because we saw it, it took forever to get down to 10 players. It did not take that long to get from 10 down to the start of 3-handed play, especially in even 4-handed play, which I think was the original scheduled thing. I know it's hard with TV and with Poker Go, and you've got, camera staff and people who are union, and it's tough. You can't change the schedule, but I really felt for these guys playing for the biggest spot that they will probably all of them ever play in, not having the ability to basically see straight, half of them taking naps on the floor in between hands at 4 a.m. It was brutal to watch.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've actually come up with a good idea, Terrence, because the day off, the whole point of the day off was to sort of have opportunity to do some interviews and things like that. And if you're keeping me till 6:37 in the morning, guess what? I'm not showing up at 1 p.m. to do interviews for you. That's just out of the realm of possibility. So your idea could have been a good idea, where you just finish that last piece at like 7 p.m. the next evening, and you play till noon, and then or till midnight or so. And then, you continue the next day. Again, that, like you said, it comes down to, staffing and these kind of things. And that was a day off. But in the future, I would hope that they could use that as an option.
And if it turns out you don't need it, then I'm sure all the guys who make it the final 9, I'm sure they're happy to do interviews, because if it ends at a reasonable hour, it turns out we got finished at 10 p.m. I'm sure all 9 guys would be super happy to do media requests on that day off.
Exactly. And like, you only need to get those guys, and you basically could have them in, 2 hours before the start, here and there, 15 minutes, 20 minutes here. You can make that work. And then I would imagine just the only issue would be, like, having that space available on Poker Go, which isn't an issue, and then making sure that the staff is available for that day. So have it scheduled, have the day off scheduled, but with sort of a caveat that we may use it if necessary, and then play the final. Because that seems like the best solution. They definitely, I get why they had to play the final table the day that they did, because scheduling issues. But like you said, the whole buffer of the extra day should have allowed. Maybe it just makes sense in the future to just have 2. Like, 2 off days, right?
It builds up media coverage too. Nobody's upset. Oh, I have to stay in another day in Vegas. What, I'm guaranteed $1 million. I don't think anybody's going to be too upset about that.
Like 2 off days with the expectation that the first one you're probably going to be playing some portion of it.
Yeah. Your set ends up getting heads up with Adrian Attenborough, and they play a couple of really interesting pots, a couple of big pots, and one of them, Attenborough tanks for 20 minutes. I can't remember who it was, but somebody was on Twitter like this. They're going to catch up to the delay here pretty quick. But 10 to 20 minutes. Then he was thinking about making a hero call. He would have been wrong. Ended up folding correctly. And he had the Jack 4, and he had the Jack 4 again for another 8-minute tank that he ended up calling incorrectly, and their champion was crowned. So they played. I don't know. I didn't watch it. It was long. I didn't watch a ton of it. Did you guys, Terrence? The
last day wasn't long, so I had it on, but I had my kid, but I was watching it mostly in the background. I thought really interesting poker was being played. You can talk about 18-minute tanks, like obviously that's wild and that's out of the ordinary. But I thought overall Adrian Attenborough played very fast. I tweeted this out, like, for all that, he's going to get a lot of crap about tanking for 18 minutes on the river when he's thinking about calling with bottom pair. But if you look at the way all the other hands were played, there were so many hands in a spot where he's just going to c-bet 100%. It goes check. He just puts chips in the middle. He's just decided, I'm going to c-bet 100% of my hands. Why do I have to sit here for 20 seconds and act like I'm thinking about whether to c-bet when I'm c-betting this flop every time? And he just did it, and he would do it on the turn. And I really respected the hell out of that. And I think he earns a lot of, he therefore earns a lot of slack by when the pot is 62 million or whatever the hell it is, and it's effectively like it's like some of these pots, they're like $1 million real money, these pots, right? Because they're, the difference between first and second was whatever it is, 4.5 million. They're $1 million real pots. So I think he's earned the right to think about it on the river. Your stat can always call time on him. That's no big deal. Like, if your stat wants to call time on him, I think that's totally fine. No tournament director in the world would say, no, he hasn't had long enough to think and he deserves more. I thought that the pace of play was fine. I was impressed with the way like everybody played. I think this was like a really well played final table. You really saw what Daniel calls like modern poker theory, and people sort of choosing their bluffs, and people, you could see the thought processes of what hands people were going to use as calling hands. And you could see Attenborough thinking about calling very thin because he unblocks certain draws on a lot of spots. So I thought it was good. I mean, it's always slow for me. I don't like watching No Limit Hold'em on I just, most of the time it's just too slow, so little happens. It was kind of good for me in the background. I'm making dinner for my kid. She's playing in the splash pool. I'm sort of half paying attention, and then then there's a next hand, and then like I look away for 5 minutes, and now it's a turn, but I can probably reconstruct what happened on the previous streets. I thought it was good stuff. And if, as No Limit Hold'em goes, I give it a very good rating. I'd say like 8.5 out of 10 for final tables.
Yeah. So for me, my relationship with the main event has drastically changed ever since the November 9 no longer is a thing. When November 9 was a thing, myself and Helmuth, we would do the break test with Kara Scott, so I would be there, I'd be watching it all. But now that there's post-lims and it happens in real time, there's a new crew, and I'm playing anyways. And like, as a sidebar, I really enjoy when Ali and Nick are in the booth, because I find them really, really fun. Like, they could be talking about the phone book and I'd be interested, but I'm just, so it's hard to say this without, here's the thing. When you criticize anything, it's like, if I say, Terrence, you know what? I don't like your singing voice. You might laugh, you might giggle, you might be offended or whatever, right? There's sort of been created, because so many people tell me privately, they're like, my God, this is terrible. Like it's become like sort of a faux pas to criticize, like commentary. And I can't listen to those three. I absolutely can't take it. Like I watched a 3-minute clip and it drove me nuts. Like, I can't listen to those three in the booth when they're doing it. So it ruins my experience from enjoying it, because I have to watch it on mute, unless of course you got, the A team, which is Nick and Ali doing the night shift thing. And that I thoroughly enjoy. And I love the banter between those guys.
Yeah, Nick and Ali, that's a good point. They were incredible all through the World Series when they were in there on Poker Go. It was hilarious to listen to. They're so funny, they're so witty, they're so fast, they're great, and I love to listen to them. It's worth the Poker Go subscription just to listen to those guys call poker. Like, to Daniel's point, I could watch them. I think I tweeted it out, like English Parliament, just commentate on anything. Like, it would just be hilarious. Yeah. So, but yeah, your set again. He took down the 1K tag team. Patrick Leonard was his partner, and then ended up winning the bracelet number 55, I believe, the 1K tag team. So 2 bracelets for him this World Series of Poker. What a year for him. Wins $10 million for the main event. Moving on, Daniel. So your overall, of course, we all watch the vlogs, and you're one of the very few poker players that will talk about how much money you're in and how much you won and how much you've lost. Obviously, not a great year this year. He ended up down 1.1 million. Dan Smith also posted his results. It looks like you're motivating people to be open and honest with some of their results. Dan Smith did it. He won a bracelet for $500,000, his first, the 25K heads up, and he still ended up losing all 367,000. So he posted all his results as well. But wanted to, just get sort of a final wrap up, Daniel, from you on the World Series. Obviously, everything, if you could run this out 100 times or whatever, this is probably right near the worst result that you could have, I would suggest.
Well, the thing is, it's yes and no, because like when you think of like number of buy-ins, obviously I didn't, obviously it wasn't a good World Series, and it probably ranks among, it's not going to rank among the best, but like Dan Smith showing that, he won a 500K bracelet and still lost like something like that. What it shows you or tells you is that this schedule this year was different than any other, in that it's, there was a lot more high rollers, right? So you had the 250K, you had a couple bullets in that, you had a couple 100Ks, you got a bunch of 50Ks, both in PLO and no limit. So you're talking, but you're ultimately, how many events is that? Maybe 12? So if you blank out in those, I in the 25K PLO, I came like 15th or something like that for, I don't know what it was. But other than that, I blanked out in the others. So there's 2 bullets for 500K, another 200K, and another one. So really, when you look at it, it's like, I tried to use this, the analogy in my vlog, but like if you played $10 tournaments, right? And you were down like 80, 90 bucks, like that would suck, right? But it's not that hard to believe, you know what I mean? That they run an 8 buy-in downswing or something like that. So considering like the size of the buy-ins, like the amount of money is less relevant. Like we used to play tournaments at the World Series that had a $1 million buy-in, like that was the buy-in, so that would have been like 1 buy-in down.
Yeah, if you cashed that tournament, you were up for the series. If you did not cash that tournament, you were down for the series.
Right, no matter what, you could have won 2 bracelets and still be down. But so the thing is, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
The thing is I think like for the average person though, like the number isn't really that relevant. The number is incredibly relevant. It's like $1 million. You just lost 1 mil. Oh my God. Like it sounds like a lot, but if you are a high roller and playing in high roller tournaments, you will commonly go through streaks where you like go on $1 million buy-in downswings. All the best players do, from David Peters to, all of them. Like they've all done this. It's just like for them, they're typically not documenting it the entirety of the way. So you're not actually seeing it, in a public, thing where, but it is what it is. Like ultimately, I shared all the hands, and what's funny to me is some people saying, oh, Daniel this year, he didn't care. He was just going all in and gambling it up. And I'm like, here's the thing. I only film the all-ins. Okay. I don't film the hands that I'm not all in. So it may appear like all the hands you're seeing are me just being all in, because those are the ones I'm showing you. But I would challenge you to look at the hands that I played throughout the entirety of the World Series. Find the ones where I got it in bad. Find the ones where I wasn't at least like 43% equity in a flip, or I was like 2-1 favorite. I did win one hand when I was literally just gambling to double up with King 8 of spades against aces. I won that. But outside of that, there wasn't a lot of me sucking out. Well, there was really not much at all. And there was not a lot of me holding, as big favorite, 2-1 favorite, or 50-50. But that can happen. I know a couple other guys who had bad World Series, like Eric Seidel. He finally had a 3rd place in the last one, but he had like 1 min cash, prior to that. So this is going to happen. Like the World Series of Poker, I said this in the vlog, but like the number one predictor of your success during the World Series of Poker is not going to, it's going to be luck. Okay. Because it is like a 50-60 tournament. So it's going to be luck. It's going to be like those key all-in spots for heaps of chips where you have ace king and your opponent has kings or something, winning that one way or the other sometimes, or, winning those key flips. That's going to dictate. Because I did have plenty of deep runs, right? But they faltered with 2 tables to go, or, just before the final or something like that. And then in the one where I came 5th, I had it all in with jacks against ace 8, where Roble actually torched it. I win that pot, like, who knows? Like I would have a chance. But I was very proud of one thing, I would say, and that was my resilience to like get kicked in the head repeatedly and then get up the next day. I remember going through a period where it was like every single all in. I don't know, it was like a week or 2 straight where every single all in. So then, I broke out of that a little bit where like I won a couple all ins, and I'm like, even though I didn't win the tournament, I'm like, that felt good. I still lost in the end with like ace king to ace jack, but I was like, at least I won some all ins. It's a test, right? But poker can be cruel, and like the cards can make you look like a fool when they're spitting in your face, and they can make you look like a hero when you run well. But yeah, you start to feel envious. You watch a guy just have like, ace queen and beat queens, and you're like, how did you do that? Is that a magic trick? Like, how does that happen? But in the end, the number didn't look great, but I genuinely know that I played better this World Series than the one before and the one before that. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be, obviously.
A couple of people to ask you about. We didn't see Lederer Ferguson at all at this World Series, did we? Or at least I didn't see any reports of them.
No,
No,
no Ferguson, which the letter is not surprising. Ferguson not showing up was something that I sort of realized a few weeks in. That was like, that is really surprising. And I wonder what the motivation is behind that, because he didn't seem like the kind of person who cared that he was getting hate. So I wonder if he just.
I would venture to guess that if I had to guess that it's more like would be like a COVID thing, because he's friend. I know Andy Bloch is like.
Yeah.
Andy
Bloch is terrified of COVID.
He's still living in the pandemic like hardcore. Like it's. He was wearing like.
I should have shocked that he showed up to play at all. That he showed
wore
up
like a gas mask with goggles and all that sort of thing, and to each his own. But like I think
that's a reasonable guess. Yeah,
I think it was more COVID related for him.
And then John Juanda showed up for the main, I believe.
He did.
Yeah, and he played too. But I don't think he was staying away because of COVID, or I can't tell. It seemed like
Juanda hasn't played a regular World Series for quite a long time. He has a family, in Japan, and so he plays some of the high roller Triton stuff, or plays the big cash games and things like that. But, doesn't grind the World Series like he did. Maybe when his kids get a little older, you'll see Juanda back in the mix for Player of the Year.
And
Jen Harmon played, right? Was it like the PPC? Jen Harmon played something. Was it the PPC or was it
one event? She played one event, the 50K PPC.
Yeah.
And, she's high risk. She's very high risk because she has, 2 kidney transplants and whatnot. So she was double masked and, a little nervous about coming out. But
it goes to show, though, that the people who are really scared of showing up, the Andy Blochs, the Jen Harmons, they still show up for the events they really want to play, which is kind of like these people, like you said, they still live in tremendous fear of COVID.
I read Andy Bloch's recommendation on Twitter for like what to do at the World Series. And I'm like,
it's insane.
5 things. And I'm like, I literally won't do any of those 5 things. Like, I actually hate the idea. He was like, number 1, max to like limit your exposure, max late reg on day 2, right? Like, I don't know what else it was. Like 2, don't drink any water during, eat outside. It was like a long.
Andy's feed was nuts. I like Andy a lot. I think he's a super sharp guy, but he's nuts on the COVID thing. He's nuts.
Totally agree. Yeah. Like, and again, like I agree with you. Like, he has a group of people. He calls them COVID minimizers. It's like a group. I guess that would be me now. I don't know. Like, follow the signs, but that's the thing, is like we live in a world where whatever bubble of information you're getting, you'll continue to stay there unless you break out of it and have different.
There are some people who are out there who would think the risky thing about playing the World Series of Poker is that you could lose $10,000. Yeah. That's what the majority of people in the universe think, that it's, oh my God, it's crazy to bet $10,000 on a poker game. Not that it's crazy to show up in a room where there's a bunch of people. Some of them aren't wearing masks. Most of them aren't wearing masks. I don't know. But the point is that everybody has things that they're willing to take chances on, and they're not willing to take chances on. And so, like, I try not to judge people for being really scared of COVID or not caring about COVID at all. Just as I don't judge people for saying like $100 is too big of a bet for me, I don't want to make $100, or other people who say $100,000 is nothing bet for me, I'm just going to bet $100,000 blind on the basketball game tonight, because people have different risk preferences. And there's a
good analogy here about sharks, and being eaten by a shark. There's an analogy where people are like, I'm not going in the water, right? But they don't realize the drive to the beach, they took to the beach through the mountains, had a much higher percentage of them actually dying in the car crash than actually going into the water and being eaten a shark. But it's so visceral and emotional, in the connection there. And so, like, for a lot of people, that, because we did 18 months, we didn't leave the house for, COVID until, much later. For some people, it is still something that is like a traumatic fear, and for some, they're just not ready to come out of that yet. I don't have anyone in my inner circle.
You just don't like leaving the house, so it worked perfectly, right?
What's that?
I said, you just don't like leaving the house, so it actually worked perfectly.
No, exactly. Yeah, it was great for us. And I didn't wear a mask the entirety of the World Series. I assumed I was going to get it because people were, I mean, I had a guy fucking drinking Delcium out of a bottle at my table, and he's like, no, I'm just allergic to carpet. I'm like, yeah, okay, bro. Sure. I'm sure it's the carpet that's causing your sore throat and your cough. But like, I mean, there was plenty of people, and I imagine there were people that knew they had it and still played or whatever. So I assumed I would get it. Maybe I did, but I wasn't asymptomatic because I never had any COVID symptoms. There was one time where I had allergies. I checked, I did the test. I was fine. I didn't have any COVID. But yeah, from what I heard from a lot of the people there that got it, was they were out for 4 or 5 days, a little bit of cough, cold, and it was basically just for them, like a bad cough or a cold, and in some cases not even that bad.
The aforementioned player of the year went to Dan Zach, who takes down his first player of the year title. Dan Wyman finished second. Last year's main event winner, Corey Aldemer, ends up third. Sean Deeb fourth. David Peters fifth. To take the
So who had Karai Aldemir as a mixed games player? Because this is like news to me. He just like shows up and plays like every 10K mixed game.
Yeah.
You got the 25K final standings, and they're like Karai Aldemir going for $2 to Maria Ho's team and scoring.
Well, clearly Maria and Korai knew, right?
Yeah,
but it goes to show, like, the 25K fantasy, like at the World Series of Poker, I don't think people realize how much of an impact that has, not only on the the rake generation for the World Series of Poker, but the playing schedules for people. Like Korai being on the team that he owns and having that extra incentive, has him playing a lot more events. You see that across the board when people own themselves, in the fantasy or something like that. I even had guys on my team who I would sell like a small little piece to who, expanded their schedules and like, should I play the 250K and things like that? So it's a fun little addition that I think is good for the World Series of Poker. Obviously, it's not affiliated with them in any way. Maybe in the future, hopefully we can do something with them in that regard, because I think it creates a lot of buzz.
Yeah. And shout outs to Dan Zach, shout outs to Dan Zach, who I said on the show a few weeks ago, but like, I don't know if you like, I think Dan Zach is just like everything that's great about like the young generation of poker. He's just like a pleasant guy to play with, just a funny dude, doesn't take life too seriously. So actually like very happy for him to win player of the year. Of course, people will remember his name first coming up in the controversial race with Daniel, you almost winning POI and Rob Campbell saying nobody gives a fuck about Dan Zach. But now people give a fuck about Dan Zach.
Maybe that motivated. Maybe that's what got Daniel hot under the collar. But no, Dan is definitely a guy. If he plays a full schedule, he's one of those guys that is in the top tier because he plays all the mixed games well. And as you saw this year, he played some of the high rollers, jumped in those, and and was able to final there. So, I mean, I don't think anyone can look at the World Series anyone had and anyone say, well, he wasn't deserving. I think the point, like people, we critique the structure, and there's obviously things that I would adjust and change, but like more often than not, we get the right winner. Yeah. When Rob Campbell won, I thought he was the most differting. And I think this year for sure, Dan Shack, he's the only one this year who won 2 bracelets as far as I know. And that's one of the changes they did make that makes it better, is that it's very difficult to win player of the year without winning a bracelet.
Well, Jorstad won 2 bracelets, but I think one of his doesn't count because it was the tag team.
Oh, right. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He did win 2. So yeah, but the one change they made, which I think is good, is the point structure is very bracelet heavy because you get double the points from second to first, right? You finish 6th or 5th, it's pretty close. You finish 5th or 4th, but like finishing the job and getting the bracelet, that really rewards you handsomely.
Big shout out to Paul Brar from Edmonton, who is in the local Vancouver scene, the Alberta scene for a long time. Just one of the nicest guys. He won the last event, the 1K Turbo event 88.
That was so funny because I ran into him the day of the Turbo. I ran into him. We're walking. He's like, hey, he chatted with me a little bit, grabbing a coffee. And I was like, what do you got? And he's like, I'm going to go jump into that super turbo thing. And then I looked the next day and I'm like, wait a minute. That's the guy I ran into.
He's the best. He's just the nicest dude. I was so happy for him. The 25K, I wanted to just quickly look at the 25K fantasy team. So you're saying Maria Ho's team was also owned by Correa?
Yeah, they drafted together.
Okay, so they obviously picked each other. Correa went for $2 and ended up having 358 points. They had Marco Johnson, Hal Vieira, Craig Chait, Felipe Ramos, Maria, Jim Colopy, and John Hennigan. And then your team finished second: Josh Aurier, Dario Sammartino, Chino, Nick Schulman, Mateos, Shannon Shore, Volpe, and Dan Shack. And the thing I noticed here, Daniel, for both of these teams is, they have Javiera going for $95, but they also have a lot of mid-price guys. Instead of going, buying you or Shandib or somebody for all their money, the stars and scrubs sort of fantasy approach. Here, you spread yours out pretty. You had Schulman for $79, but a lot of $20 guys, and they did too. So I don't know. Is this anecdotal, or do you feel like this is probably the best method?
Well, that wasn't even my intention, but those guys went cheaper than they were supposed to, as far as I was concerned. Like I got Volpe, who didn't have a great series, Josh, and like Chino and Shannon for like in the the 20s, and I expected them to go for more. My intention was to do this. My intention was Nick Schulman was my big prize. The next was Dario Sammartino, and I got those two. My third was Foxen. Foxen is the one that I wanted because I saw that there's a lot of big no limit stuff, and I was like, he's going to be playing that, so he was going to be my third horse. But I kept getting these guys for 20, so by the time Foxen came around, I got outbid. I was also likely to get a guy like Nakamura, and then Chino was on my radar. But my intention was to go more like stars and scrubs kind of thing, but like those three, and then fill in with like mediocre guys, from there. But this fantasy season was crazy because we were the front runners the entire way. Yeah. We almost went wire to wire. Like we were leading right away off the bat, and then held the lead till the main event where Korai and Marco both get the field bonus. Then Joao wins a bracelet, and then like it just all fell apart, right? Like literally going into the main event, we were significant favorites, and then Josh decides to go home. Thanks, Josh. And then you got like freaking Nick Schulman doing commentary. I'm like, boys, we still have work to do here. You know that, right? Like, so that was.
Isn't that a risk with drafting Nick? Like every time that he's going to be doing commentary gigs?
Well, yeah, but I knew Nick was going to be. Well, I think Nick got sick too, which cost him some events. I don't know if it was COVID or not, but he got sick in the middle and didn't play quite as many as I would have liked. So, but yeah, that's the thing you got to think about with Nick is during the main event, like he's gonna skip events because he's definitely playing that, but he's gonna play a full enough schedule. And Nick is such a great mixed game player, and I wanted guys that were going to be playing both, but I really wanted guys that play the high roller no limits because I firmly believe this. That the high limit, but getting the high limit, no limit PLO guys is much more attractive because in those games, the good players are way more likely to make at least a final table or two than they are in the mixed games. For one reason, they're typically a little bit smaller in numbers, just a little bit, especially the really big ones. And in addition to that, the nature of the game. In limit poker, Terrence, I know with limit hold'em, like skill is a big proponent, but at the same time, like it's hard to consistently just make the final tables. Where in big bet games, you think the cream rises a little more often, more consistent.
I agree. I think no limit tournaments have much less variance with the best players getting to the top. It's funny because it used to be the opposite. Before they added all these no limit high rollers, the strategy around player of the year, 25K fantasy, whatever it was, is you had to get the guys who were predominantly playing like the 10K mixed games. And back then 10K was usually the biggest thing. There might have been a 25K no limit, 50K no limit on the schedule, but now it's much more no limit strong. So like you said, you want players who can play both, but you even talked about a player like Foxen, who, as far as I understand, does not play anything other than big bet games.
No, that's
so now those guys are worth it now.
No, Foxen plays everything.
Does he? Okay.
He doesn't. He's not going to prioritize like a 10K Raz or something like that.
Okay.
He would play them. Like he's going to play all the PLOs, the no limit hold'ems, and the other big bet stuff too. But
yeah,
but he's actually. I think Foxen is actually really good. So
yeah.
That's part. Like I think he's very, very. I think he's. People throw around the best, who's the best and stuff like that, and a couple of them have a black mark on their name now. Obviously, you have the Adamos of the world, but I think Foxen is an underrated name. I don't think he gets talked about in the conversation, but he's kind of an animal, not only physically, like because he is the fucking beast, but like his play, he's very ferocious. He's he's a tough guy to have at your table because he's very focused, and plays an aggressive game in the right spots. And he's also one that I would say he's not an ICM pushover, which I think people are starting to learn that that's not the best approach for long-term financial success, is to be overly obsessed with ICM, right? There are some spots where, okay, a guy has one big blind left. Like, you have 6, you have to fold. But there is, I think probably overall, I would say there's a group of people, you can call them nitty, call them whatever, that take that too far to their detriment. Right. I think in some ways having that sort of image where you're Dan Smith or Foxen or Adamo, where I don't give a shit about the bubble. Okay. Come try to fuck with me. Right. Having that image gives you a benefit in the crucial spots down the stretch where, you're trying to amass chips.
So nice little, what was that? 100,000 per second in the 25K something? Does that sound right?
I got 100,000 for that, but we also made, 270, like over $250,000 in side bets. And I only lost one bet, which was 10K to Maria's team. So it was a profitable one for me, for sure. I gave a little piece to Was. I gave a little piece to Chino. I gave a little piece to Josh. But overall, that helped make the less bets. And I also, I lost 1.1, but unfortunately for those that bought pieces, I sold little pieces on pocket fives to the bigger events. And I also sold part of the package. So financially, I didn't lose 1.1. I lost, I don't know how much, but more, whatever. Nothing that's going to change my life significantly.
Did you buy any pieces of anybody along the way in World Series this year?
I was going to buy a piece of a couple people. I have 2 horses that I have pretty consistently that, I put in for all the events. That just 2. I used to have 12, and these guys are not guys who play the 10Ks and the high rollers. They're going to play the main event, of course. One of them ran deep, which you can probably guess. But the other two had a rough World Series. So like that's it. I'm not into like one-offs and stuff like that. Like I have 2 guys, like I said, that are horses that have been with me that are both friends of mine.
And I was watching one of the videos, and I remember, you're saying, "Hey, say hi to these guys." And one of them, I believe, owed you money from a couple years ago. So did anybody wander up to you and pay you any money back this year?
Oh no. No. I have 3 of them actually. There's one guy. Well, I'm not going to mention the other. What? Fuck. I'll mention one. Mark Seif. Fuck this guy, right?
Wow.
He sits at my poker table, right? He pretends he doesn't even know who I am. He's like, well, like this. He's so uncomfortable because I'm there. I don't even say anything. He owes me $20,000 still from the very first or second time we ran the WSOP fantasy 25K fantasy. Okay, and he's a lawyer, so I remember back then, like he lost. The bet was over, but it was clear. It was already tabulated. But he was like, "Oh, it was an argument about the points and how it's structured." I'm like, the rules were fucking clear. So he's trying to like get off by not paying, and he's never paid, and I don't expect it.
I was going to say before you told that story, I'm shocked that you would have lent Mark Safe money. Like,
money knows.
I know that's what I'm saying. Now the story makes sense.
Yeah. The other one is a guy, and he made some deep runs, and I kind of feel bad for him because he just degened. Like he needed 30,000 because the wire was coming in. The wire didn't come in. He played tournaments. But I think he's going to make a good faith effort to pay. The other one that you're thinking of, I don't fucking know, bro. I don't even know.
Well, there's one person that was name dropped earlier in the World Series who we talked about, who was selling action for the PBC and ended up not playing it at all. And
I got that money back. That was no problem. Oh, I did get one person pay me back a pretty significant amount. So because that helped for buy-ins, I got like $350 paid. In one spot, which was nice. Boom. Yeah.
Oh, we all still owe Ross 3/100 or 3,000th of a Bitcoin. Ross got to send over that Bitcoin address.
What a bad beat that was, by the way. How did you lose that? That was crazy how you lost that.
Well, 1,200 people showed up to register on day 2. I never really. That's absolutely insane that 1,200 people.
Not really. In previous years, they had like 800 and something sign up on day 2.
Yeah, I guess I never would have thought that people would want to show up. I mean, I guess you don't have to spend as many days in Vegas. What I saw is a lot of people who don't really seem to play poker anymore. A lot of them showed up on day 2. Just talking about like the old school poker pros who they've moved on to other things, but they're like, oh my God, this is the biggest main event ever. They took that last minute flight into Vegas and showed up. I saw a lot of those guys, and obviously, of those 1,200, a lot of them are being people who can't take a lot of time off work. People who don't want to, don't have hotels or places to crash in Vegas. So yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, bit of a bad beat, but for the good of poker, I guess I'm glad I lost.
But Andy blocks Max late regen. All right, Roscoe, let's get to some tweets.
You're going surfing on the internet.
The first one is, Ross has got the first 3, so we'll wait for him to come back. The first one is
I'll do mine.
Terrence.
Okay. This is speaking of old school references, Eric Lindgren talking about Kenny Tran, who was close to making the main event final table. I've been around poker so long that Kenny Tran is in my contacts as Kenny Kid.
Kenny Kid. So is there a better nickname in poker for EV wise than Sick Call Kenny?
It's a fantastic nickname.
It's the best nickname. He gets so many.
I've heard some crazy Kenny Tran stories in the last week, but like there's stuff that he's done where like he made a bet, like a guy bets like on the river, a guy bets 37,000. Okay. The guy has like 7K back. So he's like bet 37 with 7K back. But Kenny has such a dead read on this guy, like has an absolute provable tell. So he just moves in on him with like 9 high, and the guy folds because he's obviously bluffing. And I think Kenny sold that tell to another guy.
I've heard this story too. Yeah.
It's worth like, it's worth their weight in gold. But like he's in my top 5 in terms of like live reads for sure. Kenny Tran.
Yeah, it's great. Angela Jordanson, this is talking about the main event. I'm at a table with Ollie and Shervich and Dan Smith. Dan gets in a hand with a chatty player that's bet pot on the river. Dan asks, "Did you hit that 7 on the river?" And the player asks, "Can I answer that? Is that allowed?" Dan looks at Ali and says, "They let Ali play here, so I don't think they'll care." Apparently Ali laughed. Ari Angle, day 4 of the main event, and I'm the oldest player at my table. One guy turned 21 7 days ago. It's interesting. Like we talk about the demographics of poker. We had the poker boom where it seemed like there were 24-year-olds at every table. Now it seems to be in a world where I feel like a lot of the pros are kind of like mid to late 30s. And that seems to be the sharpest part of the demographic. The idea that Ari Engel would be the oldest player at the table is I don't know, depressing. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on it.
Well, you look at the final table, right? Like even the final table was so young. That's the one thing that struck me was how young everybody was. There's
which is why it's even more terrible. They made them play 17 fucking hours. Yeah. Imagine being like 55-year-old rec player and you got to play with these guys who are like 29 and like just play poker all the time.
And the main event is specifically, right? Like all the hometown heroes, all the old guys, everybody comes to play in it. And yet you look at the final table and who made there. And yeah, it's anecdotal. I get that. But wow, that struck me as how
it's just a huge advantage to be young in the main event. And especially if they're going to do things like make people play 17 hours. DJ McKinnon at DJ Mike Jr., 6 people at the table, 6 people at a 9-handed table. Didn't know that throwing out 2 500 denomination chips at 300, 600 constitutes a call. The buy-in is $10,000.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing when the blinds go up, like from whatever, 255 to 300, 600, but our boy from Vancouver, Ben Wilanowski, hear me out. WSOP, $1 million mystery bounties in every format. $1 million mystery bounty PLO, $1 million mystery bounty 8-game, $1 million mystery bounty single draw. You get people in there who barely know how to play, just punting. We talked very briefly about Matt Glantz drawing the $1 million. What a fucking luck. Unbelievable. The unbelievable Matt Glantz drawing the $1 million, but huge buzz around the mystery bounty event. So much buzz that it we talked about this on the show, Daniel, while you were away, that we really think it had a profound impact on day 1A and 1B, especially 1A of the main event, and just not getting people into that. But huge buzz. Mystery bounty's been a thing for a couple of years now. That would be amazing.
I hate the scheduling because, like, the World Series is talking about, like, make sure you play when day 180, like, but then don't put this mystery bounty thing there because we want to play that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it created a lot of buzz. And, they were the originals who thought of the idea, the World Series did, and they were going to implement it before the COVID year. And then, the Win obviously had some success with it, but nothing bigger. And I heard that so basically the process for it was like incredible. Like we really did a great job of like, there was an iPad, you do your bounty at the table and you get whatever amount it was, 200, 500 bucks. But if it was a big one, like in the thing, it would like have a golden chest. That means you go up to the stage. So they would, capture the bigger moments and stuff like that. So from a spectacle perspective, it was really great. And obviously we can't think of a more deserving winner than Matt Glenn. Good karma. Like I joked with them, like, he's going to distribute it evenly across all those things. They're going to create a new board and Justin Bonomo is going to head it. And they're going to decide where this money is distributed to equally so that it's fair and equitable.
Oh, that's good. That's big.
That's for those that are wondering if that's real. That's me kidding. I'm not serious.
Sarcasm.
But hold on. The mystery bounty thing, and I wanted to run this by you guys because I know you play limit games. Dylan Lindy came up with this idea, and I kind of love it for like the end of the World Series, like for the last event for the mixed game players, is to play a horse event. Okay? It's regular horse. The river is pot limit. Just on the river. For all those guys who want to fucking degen and just get it in, it's like it creates an insane dynamic. Like if you think strategically, it's obviously something nobody's solved, but like imagine the price you're getting now on a gut shot on 6th Street, right? Yeah. Or on the turn. And you're like, well, so it's cost me one bet. And there's 12 in there. and I need a 6. Let's go for it. It'd be
Yeah.
fun. I think
Absolutely.
I feel like in Omaha, every pot would get everybody be there at the river.
Well, that's the cool thing, right? So it's like you basically, I think in a lot of cases, you want to get the river as cheaply as possible and then figure out how strong anyone is. And then if you have a blocker or whatever, just bomb it. Yeah. I think it would be nuts.
It makes it really hard to play like aces and hold'em, that kind of thing. Like, because you have to play in a way that kind of represent your hand as an overpair, and then you get to the river and you're like, oh, he potted it,
right?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
races.
Exactly. Yeah, you should. Yeah, exactly. Disguise it. Thanks, Adam. Patrick Leonard pads, of course, came up with a hypothetical situation. So suppose player A swaps 5% in the main with player B. Player A plays the main on one day A and bags 150K from his starting stack of 60. B plans to play 1D but gets COVID and has to skip. How much does B owe player A? I have a feeling about this, but it generated a lot of discussion. Go, Adam.
$500.
Where do you get that?
Well, it's 5%, right? It's a 10K buy-in, I'm assuming. Yeah, this is a main event.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're just saying he like owes him like the par value of a starting stack?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's what
I don't know. Maybe I'm Neanderthal and old school with this, but I'd be like, well, we swapped 5%. You didn't play. There's no swap.
There's no swap. That's what I was going for too. That was sort of what my thought was too.
I
but-
guess the people push back with that could be like you could free roll people.
Yeah.
Where like, okay, so if the guy runs up a big stack, then you play, right? But then if he busts, then you don't play. But I would imagine if you're making swaps with people, you're friends with them to the point where
Yeah.
you're not like gonna like actually shoot that. You're not literally gonna not play the fucking main event because your buddy busted and you have to give up 5%. Like if anyone
No.
is like that, like don't swap with people. like that.
Yeah, that guy shouldn't be playing the main event anyway. Like,
Yeah.
Vanessa Selps, I thought this was interesting because I think it shows the state of poker going on right now. But Vanessa Selps, who's retired from poker probably 4, 5, 6 years now. It's been a while. The trading firm that I work at is interested in interviewing top poker talent. I think it's the best, quote, real job in the world if you're seriously into poker. Reply to me if interested, and I'll potentially connect you to recruiting. She mentioned that she only wants people that she knows of personally or know of. The list of people who replied and said, I'm interested in getting a job with your company include Chris Crook, Christian Harder, Player of the Year, Dan Zach, Patrick Leonard, the above mentioned, Matt Grapenthien, Nathan Gamble, Mike Leah, Randy OL, Viffer, who was probably trolling, and Simon Charette. But that's like a list of very successful poker players, many of them still very currently successful, who are just like, fuck it, I'm out of here. I'd rather get a job trading. And hard to blame them because finance is in general, much more lucrative profession. But
yeah. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if I would take the extreme of there's like, fuck it, but I think it's a combination of crypto, obviously, having a little bit of a downturn, but also like, if people are thinking like this is an opportunity to make a shit ton of money, like if it's actually going to be a good job where they can learn like the tools and like become very wealthy off of it. I don't think that also equates to like, they're not going to play poker anymore. Like I can't imagine some of those, they're still going to play, but like, adding a job to your repertoire that potentially could make more than poker I don't think that's sort of like a black mark on the poker career. I think it's more of like, wow, this could be an amazing opportunity.
True. Good point.
Our buddy Kalen McNeil from Victoria, BC, Big Wheel. He tweeted out his he got picked up at the airport, and his girl picked him up with a sign that said, and she put it on a big piece of cardboard, "Welcome home, loser," with a big smile on her face. And he tweets, "This is how my backer greeted me at the airport. She says she's not dropping me, but I'm suspicious." Which was Kalen's great. Matt Salzberg, hearing someone fired extra bullets after Reg ended in the closer. Is that too soon? Comedy writer.
Wait, Salzberg put up just fucking a 2-word tweet that was money. I posted a picture of my hand all bloodied up and said, "This is how my World Series of Poker ended." And he just goes, "Hand history?"
That's great.
What was the hand?
That's good. Another guy tweeted, monkerguy.com. He tweeted, "I just made an offer to buy ACR Poker for $15 billion, waiting for them to provide info on what percentage of the users are bots," which is a great reference to Elon and Twitter. I thought that was pretty funny. Lewis Spencer, my favorite part of the World Series of Poker is having to listen to people talk about how their mindset and meditation allowed them to win tournaments when in reality, they just won every all-in for 6 weeks. Which is
Been like that for a while now.
straight on, yeah.
But shout out to Espen, just decided like meditating on Attenborough's 18-minute tank.
Yeah, that was good. All right, boys. Thanks for getting together today. That was awesome. Pumping out a show. Thanks to Daniel to take time out of his week off on the couch. That was great.
Well, I didn't really, did I?
No, you just
You didn't move a muscle.
Huh?
Didn't move a muscle. What you gonna get back in the gym or what? Like you said, you always say, "Oh, right, yeah." You do
I
some.
would love to, so my plan was to go golf and gym and get my workout program back on track. I can't lift any weights with this hand. I mean, I could
Cardio.
like, huh?
cardio.
Why don't you just shoot me in the face? Do fucking cardio. Like, you don't build any muscle cardio. Cardio's like, if you're trying to lose weight and build muscle, cardio is dumb. It's unnecessary. Not doing it. I'll walk. Oh, that's my cardio. I usually walk, but I haven't even been doing that. I'm just going to get a little bit fat on the couch and we'll start back up August 1st. Actually, I don't know. I think this might be a month before this heals.
Yeah. Good. All right, everybody. Thanks for getting together today. Thanks to you out there for listening, and we will talk to you soon.